Luigi Mangione's letter to 66-year-old woman fighting insurance company. The woman, Karen, we'll forgive her for her name, in a letter.
We had a good Karen on tonight.
We did. I didn't even acknowledge that she was a good Karen. Claimed that her daughter had developed complete catatonia in January of 2024 and spent 60 days in the hospital in a single year. Colin, if you will. The woman, Karen, in a letter to Mangione, claimed her daughter had a rare, life-threatening disease that required constant care and medical treatment, and United Healthcare refused to pay for her recommended treatment. Ms. Karen claimed that she had to fight for months before she could give her daughter the medication she needed. She also vowed to keep up the fight in Mangione's name. Colin, don't fall asleep on me. Mangione thanked the woman for sharing her story with him. In response, he wrote, "Your letter is the first to make me tear up. I am so sorry for what you and your daughter so senselessly had to endure." The UPenn grad also asked Miss Karen, 66, to send a photo of herself and her daughter, as well as a clear picture of Jesus, because the one in the letter
don't mess with the Jesus
was a blurry black and white image. He promised to put it up on his prison cell wall next to her letter. He wrote, "If you were able to send a photo of you and your daughter or the mosaic, it would mean a great deal to me. I will put it up on my prison cell wall next to your letter. I would send a picture of Saint Luigi." That's what I would send. He concluded the letter, "Your daughter is blessed to have a mother who loves her so much and fights for her so relentlessly." Since his arrest in December, Mangione has received thousands of letters from his supporters and fans. Don't even call them fans, because that's not what they are. It's a fight.
Well, they're doing that. They're doing that to make him seem like people that would write to serial killers or people that would write to Manson, right? Like they're doing that to make that's very specific language. Anyway.
Since his arrest, Mangione added that while he couldn't respond to all the letters, he reads them all, and he also thanked everyone for taking the time to write. It has been brought to our attention, true or not, I'm still looking for verification, but as many of you know, Elon's Tesla dealership in Paris, France, was firebombed over the weekend. And apparently,
that's a shame.
Very Seinfeld-esque. You can't let it go. No. You can't let it go. You don't own it, Jerry. We own it. But apparently, one of the people that was involved said that Mangione was an inspiration. That's one of the reasons he did it.
All gone. Burnt down.
And imagine if people fought in this country the way they do over in France.
We're getting to it. We're getting to it.
We're getting close.
Our yellow vest. Look, every single one of these decisions, moves that Trump is making, that is firing people, disenfranchised people, cutting people off from their support, their services, all of those things are just adding more and more people to the potential Luigi pile. And as that pile gets bigger and bigger and starts to coalesce, that's where we're going to start to see things happening. And that's why Trump facilitates it, because he's doing it in mass. In one full day, he pissed off how many veterans? I mean, it's and that's the thing that's different is he's not just pissing off the woke liberals. We don't give a shit about them being angry. They're not going to do anything. They don't even have electoral power anymore. The people that he needs to be concerned about are his people that he's pissing off, because those are the people that are not going to just take it. So that's where this is going to me.
And he's moving at breakneck speed, which is what makes people so uncomfortable. But as you've so often said, at some point you have to rip off the Band-Aid. There is no other way. We are merely stalling. People think that you can incrementally change, but that's people who are comfortable that say they want incremental change. They want change that they're comfortable with, not change that they're not comfortable with. But sometimes
we have to address this. Oh, wait, no, not that. We have to address this. Carl, I understand that. it is very imperative that you understand that the kind of martial law that we're talking about is MARTIAL. And I just want to be clear on that. Anyway, digress.
Thanks, attorney. Does Trump want to declare martial law? Who knows? But I just don't think it'll hold. I don't think this country would. There's too many people now that we know that are in the libertarian movement, that are in the MAGA movement. They're not on board with this shit.
And they were supporters and are supporters. And that's the people he's concerned about. Again, like, he doesn't care about the liberals.
He cares about people that will actually take up arms.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Nobody's scared of the Dems, nobody's scared of those people.
Not at all. That's why when they have their heart attacks, their conniption fits, their therapy sessions over January 6th, you haven't seen anything yet.
Exactly, Denise. See, and that is when it happens. Because we have way too many firearms in this country to expect this to go any other way than much more violently.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Lila. But yeah, I mean, you know, I've been saying this is going to get infinitely more violent. Not from me personally. I am not armed. But that is, let me rename it Trumpian law.
Well, we always said
I think he should. The one thing that, you know, it's funny, he changed it to Gulf of America. I was suggesting he should change New Mexico to just New America. I mean, that at least is in this country technically, you know, whereas the Gulf kind of, I mean, existed before. But I mean, we could start changing names of all sorts of cool things.
Perry, thank you for the $5. Historically, when right-wing leaders like Trump lose their base, they scapegoat black people, and it's not going to work now. Nope. It's not going to work.
No.
Too many people are. It's not even a question of, are things worse now than they've ever been before? I equate it in very simple terms. Colin, if you can pull up the Rick Scott clip one more time, I'm going to show you what it is.
So gross. He's Voldemort.
I'm going to show you two things that make sense.
I could have nightmares from this man.
There are reasons why we have come too far now. This is one.
Senator Rick Scott here. I hear from Americans.
We don't care what you hear. We care what we see. This is so in your face that there is no way to avoid it. And it has always made me sick when I see them splice the American flag and the Israel flag.
Yeah.
I wish more people would splice the American flag and the Palestinian flag.
This is the kind of thing, though, that he will soon realize, as Trump is going to realize, that I don't think plays well with at least half their base. Like, yeah, they'll have a ton of people. They'll have their Zionists, their, you know, those folks that support Israel and whatever. You even have people like Brian Mast that they're pro-Israel, whatever. But a lot of their people, the libertarian people, the just normal red, they are not with, and even the people that are very nationalistic, which are not my people, you know, those people's motives are not my motives, but they sure as hell don't want their senator having a foreign flag on the wall of his office for whatever their racist, bigoted reasons are. So this is not going to play well to the, I think that these kinds of things are going to really come back to bite all of these people with their own supporters.
Well, you can say that again, Del Sol Verde. I really think people need to understand.
Del Sol Verde.
This is one of many that we will see. But if you think that with Rick Scott is bad, this probably, as much as any reason, is why, if you think you've seen the last of the Luigi Mangione brigade, it's only getting started. I've got more money than I can spend. How can I shelter it from the socialists? This is not a joke. This is not The Onion. This is an actual article in the UK Telegraph.
I actually feel so bad for The Onion. That's like the worst. That's going to be the worst collateral damage of all of this ridiculousness is The Onion. Anyway.
Money Makeover. Our reader is concerned about passing his hard-earned wealth. Can you scroll down ever so slightly, Colin?
Who is that?
Scroll up for a second. John Ivins describes himself as a shop floor lad made good. This guy. If you had met John Ivins in the 1960s, you know, long before Jen and I were even a thought in anybody's mind, he would have extolled to you the virtues of communism. Then in his early 20s, he was swept away by the arguments of the far left. Today, some 60 years later, the 83-year-old is worried about shielding his assets from inheritance tax. And of course, as a Brit, as you get a bit wealthier, you start to change your views. And I've realized that socialists will come back for more money every
The problem
time.
with your British accent is it's like it's too feminine. Like it not that there's anything wrong with a feminine accent, but you're doing it like
forgive me, but I associate the British accent with people like David Hyde Pierce. That's
okay.
typically-
Well, I associate the British accent with people like Idris Elba. So, you know, we can all have our different ideas. So, but my point is yeah. I'm just saying.
Along with his wife, Josie, 84, the couple from Burton-on-Trent have built themselves an impressive retirement. They own 3 mortgage-free rental properties that provide an annual income of £25,000. They have saved around £100,000 into their cash ISAs. I guess that's what you have in the UK, and regularly maximize their annual £20,000 allowance. They each hold the maximum £50,000 in premium bonds, and their pensions provide a combined annual. Oh, they have pensions. Oh, okay. So socialism for thee, but not for ye. Understood. £70,000. Mr. Ivins readily admits, I've got more money than I could ever spend. But life was not always that way for Mr. Ivins. He describes himself as a shop floor lad made good. Born as bombs rained down on Burton during the Second World War, Mr. Ivins started his career as a building trade apprentice. I was a painter and a decorator. But I had a lucky break to get in at Drakeloo power station.
But who is this guy? Like, what is the, like, is this just some regular run of the mill? Is this one of the UK oligarchs? Is that your point?
Well, he's not even an oligarch. He's just a successful old man who thinks that the socialists are coming to steal his money. That's what he believes.
No, but we should.
Well, with that fucking attitude.
Well, I'm just, to me, I'm in a place where the whole concept of this ridiculous generational wealth, these levels of wealth, that is just so ridiculous that people are inheriting for doing absolutely nothing that you could pass down. It's laughable. It's laughable. And it's all stuff that in the matter of however long will be meaningless and worthless and at the bottom of the ocean.
However, decades later, it was revealed laborers were exposed to asbestos while working in the power station, and Mr. Ivins says a number of his friends have since died. Well, he is pretty old, but nevertheless. In recent years, thoughts have therefore turned to how Mr. Ivins and his wife can best pass down their assets to their son and their 2 grandchildren. They set up a trust last year and also make use of the gifts out of a surplus income rules, which means they can send their grandchildren £200 each month without them being liable for an inheritance tax. Okay. And yet they have more money than they need. Currently, the question of care looms. Mr. Ivins is hopeful they would not have to sell any of their properties to fund any potential future care costs and could rely on their savings, but concedes their savings are risk averse. Here's the bottom line. As somebody in commercial real estate, this is a guy who clearly has commercial real estate related assets, whether it's multifamily property, who knows what, but he's clearly making a decent income off of it. And then there's the exceptional value in what those buildings and properties actually are worth. And why doesn't he want the inheritance tax? Because he wants to bequeath those properties to his family for nothing. He doesn't think that they should have to work for it. He thinks that they can be welfare queens because he has ways and means while others don't. So I'm sure he chastises people in places outside of areas like downtown Abbey that actually do have to struggle to survive, as our resident Irishman here, Travers, can attest to. I'm sure that it's not as easy for most others. And so as a result, the point being is that if you're going to tax people for things that they didn't earn instead of just giving it to them, well, that's the same thing. And that's why the inheritance tax, which was basically started under George W. Bush as a means to remove. Henry, what do you got? I believe 100% tax on every penny over two.
Okay. The second part, while ideal, is funny. The total wealth confiscation enforced on the food stamps, while we could dream. But I agree with and we can negotiate what that top dollar is. And that's a discussion, but I absolutely agree. Like this is just.
No, you're all going about it the wrong way. You just need to restore the top marginal tax rate. If you restored the top marginal tax rate to pre-Reagan era, you would actually have enough of a balance within the system where people would have to not literally live hand to mouth in a way that has not been seen since the Gilded Age. But we all know what happened then. And we're in a different time now. We're in a different technologically advanced age. But people cannot rub 2 cents together, and that is a huge problem. Eggs is just one part of it. And when you get people that complain about the most simplistic of problems, and they don't address the root cause of the problem, which is capitalism has run its course. It has failed because it was never properly reformed. As I've always said, if it was not properly balanced with socialism, it could never survive. Not only has it not been balanced with socialism, it's been like this for decades. And because we are such an easily manipulated culture because of shit like this, think about how many hours are wasted on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, and the like every day when you could be doing something much more productive. And I'm not saying that our podcast is solving problems. I would say status quo is helping. But for the most part.
Well, no, I think we're helping. We're contributing to people's access to information and making sure people know things. I've had many people be appreciative that they learned something or they found something out and it also, in the way we're helping, is when we platform other people like authors, journalists, other people, that spreads their message. So no, I think it is. It's part of building the awareness and the coalition. I think we're definitely helping.